Hey Reddit, I never imagined I'd be reaching out here, but I could really use some advice. Let me set the stage a bit before I dive into the chaos that's become my life. My wife Anna and I have been together for 8 years, and we've got 2 kids, Lily 7 and Jack 5. On the outside, things seem pretty perfect. Sure, we had our ups and downs like any married couple, but nothing that felt like we couldn't handle, or at least that's what I believed. The first signs that something might be wrong started showing up about 6 months ago. Anna began staying late at work more frequently and spending her weekends out with friends. At first, I didn't think much of it. We all need some time to ourselves, right? But then she started acting strangely with her phone, which was unusual for her. She'd chuckle at messages and then quickly tuck her phone away whenever I was near. I tried to convince myself I was just being paranoid. I mean, trust is the foundation of marriage, but this nagging feeling wouldn't leave me alone. I couldn't shake the sense that something was amiss. One evening she came home really late, smelling like alcohol and a perfume that wasn't hers. She was in an oddly good mood, almost giddy, like a teenager who just pulled off a prank. When I asked how her night was, she gave me this story about having drinks with coworkers, but it sounded a bit too rehearsed. It didn't sit right with me. Things took a turn a week later. I got back early from a work trip, planning to surprise her. Instead, I found an empty house. No Anna, no kids. I called her, and when she answered, she sounded both surprised and a bit annoyed. She said she was at the park with the kids. It was odd because she hadn't mentioned any plans before I left. When she came home, she looked startled to see me. The kids ran over, eager to share what they'd done, but Anna looked like she'd seen a ghost. That's when I knew something was seriously wrong. I started paying closer attention to the little things. There were just too many coincidences, too many stories that didn't quite line up. My gut told me to dig deeper, so I did. One night, while she was asleep, I went through her phone. That's when I found texts from a guy named Chris that made my heart sink. Flirty, intimate messages that left no doubt in my mind. She was having an affair. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. The initial shock quickly turned into anger. I wanted to confront her right then and there, but I knew I had to be careful. I needed to be certain, and I needed a plan. The next few days were a blur. I could barely concentrate on work or the kids. My mind was consumed by honest betrayal. Every time I looked at her, all I could see was the woman who had shattered our vows, who had lied straight to my face. But I kept my composure. I knew I had to handle this smartly. I began digging deeper into Anna's digital world. I knew her phone password, so I started sifting through her messages, emails, and social media accounts. What I uncovered made my blood boil. There were endless messages between her and Chris, each one more graphic than the last. They discussed meeting up, reminisced about things they did together, things she hadn't done with me in years. It felt like I was reading a nightmare. But the most gut-wrenching part was realizing just how long this had been going on. The messages went back more than a full year of lies and deceit. I felt like a complete fool for not noticing sooner. How could I have been so blind? I took screenshots of everything and saved them. I knew I'd need solid proof when it was time to confront her. But I wasn't done yet. I needed to find out who this Chris guy was. A quick search of his number revealed that he was one of Anna's co-workers. It all started to make sense. Those late nights at the office, the weekends she claimed to be working on projects. She was with him. The more I uncovered, the angrier I became. It wasn't just the infidelity that tore at me. It was the lies, the total disregard for our family. I couldn't stop thinking about our kids and how this would affect them. They adored their mom, and the thought of shattering their world broke my heart. But I couldn't let this go on. I had to confront her and put an end to this nightmare. I decided to wait for the perfect moment. I wanted her to fully grasp the weight of her actions, so I started planning. I thought long and hard about what I would say, how I would react. I wanted to stay calm, to show her I was in control. I wasn't going to let her see just how deeply she had hurt me. Then the opportunity finally presented itself. Anna had mentioned a girls' night out, or at least, that's what she claimed. By now I knew better. I told her I'd take the kids to my parents' place for the weekend. She seemed relieved, almost too eager for us to leave. Little did she know I had no intention of going anywhere. That Friday night, I packed up the kids and pretended to head out. We drove around for a while, grabbed some dinner, and then I took them to my parents' house. I asked my folks to watch the kids for the night, telling them that Anna and I needed to have a serious talk. They could tell something was off, but didn't press me for details. I drove back home, my heart pounding like a drum. I parked a few blocks away and quietly walked back to the house. I let myself in and waited in the living room. Around midnight, Anna staggered through the door, looking disheveled and reeking of Chris's cologne. She was laughing, clearly having had a good time, but her smile vanished the moment she saw me sitting there. "Where are the kids?" she asked, her voice tinged with confusion and a trace of fear. "They're safe," I replied, standing up. "We need to talk." Anna's face went as white as a sheet, and she fumbled slightly as she kicked off her heels. "What's going on, David?" she asked, trying to sound casual but failing miserably. I took a deep breath, trying to steady the whirlwind of emotions churning inside me. "I know, Anna. I know about you and Chris." Her eyes went wide and she opened her mouth as if to speak, but nothing came out. She looked like a deer caught in headlights. After what felt like an eternity, she finally stammered, "I don't know what you're talking about." "Don't lie to me!" I shouted, my voice echoing through the house. I pulled out my phone and shoved it toward her, showing the screenshots of her messages with Chris. "I found these. I know everything." She stared at the screen, her face twisting with anger. "You went through my phone? How dare you invade my privacy?" "Invade your privacy?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "You've been lying to me for over a year, cheating on me, and you're worried about your privacy?" Anna's expression shifted from anger to defiance. "Yes, I was with Chris. So what? Our marriage was falling apart anyway. You never had time for me. You never listened. I found someone who actually cares." Her words cut deep, but I wasn't about to let her put the blame on me. "That's nonsense, Anna. We had our issues, sure, but that doesn't justify what you did. You could have talked to me. We could have worked things out. Instead, you chose to cheat." Anna crossed her arms, her eyes turning cold. "Maybe if you were a better husband, I wouldn't have needed to." It felt like a punch to the gut. Her callousness was staggering. "Is that really what you think? That I'm to blame for your affair?" She shrugged. "I don't know, David. Maybe it's both of us. But what's done is done. Where do we go from here?" I took a step back, trying to process everything. A part of me wanted to scream, to throw her out of the house and never look back. But then I thought about Lily and Jack. They deserve better than a shouting match. "We go to counseling, Anna. We try to fix this, for the kids' sake." Anna laughed, a bitter, mocking sound. "Counseling? You really think that's going to fix anything?" "I don't know," I admitted, feeling a wave of exhaustion wash over me. "But we owe it to our kids to try." She looked at me for a long moment, then sighed. "Fine, we try counseling. But don't expect miracles, David." As she walked past me to go upstairs, I felt a swirl of anger, sadness, and a faint glimmer of hope. I didn't know if our marriage could survive this, but I knew I had to try. For the sake of our family. This was just the beginning of what would undoubtedly be a long and painful journey. The days after that confrontation were some of the hardest I've ever experienced. Anna and I barely spoke, and when we did, it was strained and awkward. I moved into the guest room, not wanting to be anywhere near her. The kids sensed the tension, but I did my best to keep things as normal as possible for them. It wasn't their fault that their mother had torn our family apart. We started counseling the following week. The therapist, Dr. Miller, was a calm, middle-aged woman who seemed genuinely invested in helping us. During our first session, she asked us to open up about our feelings and the state of our marriage. Anna was defensive right from the start. "I just feel like David stopped caring a long time ago," she said, arms crossed, her eyes avoiding mine. "He was always working, always too busy. Chris made me feel alive again." I could feel my blood boiling, but I forced myself to stay calm. "I was working to support our family, Anna. I thought we were in this together. You never once told me you were unhappy. Instead, you just betrayed me." Dr. Miller stepped in before things could get more heated. "It's clear there's a lot of pain and anger here, David. It's important to acknowledge Anna's feelings, even if you disagree with her actions. And Anna, you need to understand the depth of David's hurt." Anna rolled her eyes but muttered, "I'm sorry, David. I didn't mean to hurt you." Her apology felt empty, but I accepted it. I'm sorry too, Anna. I'm sorry I wasn't there for you the way you needed. But you should have talked to me. The sessions continued, but progress was slow. Anna often seemed detached, like she wasn't fully invested in the process. Meanwhile, I was drowning in a sea of emotions: anger, betrayal, sadness. I wanted to make things right for the kids, but I was beginning to doubt whether it was even possible. One evening, a few weeks into counseling, I came home from work and found Anna on the phone. She quickly hung up when she saw me, a guilty look crossing her face. My heart sank. "Who were you talking to?" I asked, dreading the answer. "Nobody," she replied too quickly. "Just a friend." I didn't buy it for a second. "Was it Chris?" She hesitated, then nodded. "He just wanted to see how I was doing." "It's nothing, David. Nothing." A wave of anger washed over me. "You're still in contact with him? After everything that's happened?" Anna's expression hardened. "He's a friend, David. I needed someone to talk to." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "We're supposed to be fixing our marriage, Anna. How can we do that if you're still talking to the man you cheated with?" She looked away, and for the first time I saw a flicker of doubt in her eyes. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I didn't think." "You didn't think," I echoed, my voice trembling with frustration. "You didn't think about me, about our kids, about any of this." Anna started to cry, but I found no sympathy left within me. "You need to choose, Anna. It's either him or us. You can't have both." She nodded, wiping away her tears. "I'll stop talking to him. I promise." But her promises didn't mean much to me anymore. It felt like I was looking at a stranger, someone I no longer recognized. The woman I had loved and trusted was gone, replaced by someone I wasn't sure I could ever forgive. That night, as I lay in the guest room, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was fighting a losing battle. Maybe some things were just too broken to fix, but I knew I had to try, for Lily and Jack's sake, if nothing else. As the weeks dragged on, Anna kept her word and cut off contact with Chris. At least that's what she claimed. But I remained on high alert, suspicious of every move she made. Trust, once shattered, is nearly impossible to rebuild. Dr. Miller encouraged us to spend more time together, to try and reconnect. We started going on dates again, trying to remember what had drawn us together in the first place. One Friday evening, Anna suggested we go out for dinner at a nice restaurant. I agreed, hoping this could be the turning point we desperately needed. We dropped the kids off at my parents' house and headed out. The evening started off well enough. We chatted about lighter topics, reminiscing about the early days of our relationship, and for a fleeting moment, it felt like things might actually improve. But as the night wore on, Anna's mood shifted. She grew distant, her answers became shorter, and she kept glancing at her phone. I tried to ignore it, but that nagging feeling in my gut wouldn't leave me alone. "Is everything okay?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Yeah, just tired," she replied, but her eyes told a different story. The drive home was filled with a heavy silence. When we got back, Anna went straight to bed without saying a word. I sat in the living room, staring at the wall, feeling more alone than ever. Was this really what our marriage had come to? The next morning, Anna was unusually quiet. I tried to start a conversation, but she seemed lost in her thoughts. The kids could sense the tension and kept to themselves. I decided to take them out for a while, hoping to give Anna some space and clear my own head. We went to the park, and for a few hours, I was able to forget about the mess waiting at home. Lily and Jack's laughter was a temporary balm for my aching heart. But as we drove back, a sense of dread settled over me at the thought of returning to that tense atmosphere. When we got home, I found Anna in the kitchen, her eyes red and puffy from crying. My heart sank. "Anna, what's going on?" I asked gently. She looked up at me, tears welling up in her eyes again. "I don't know, David. I don't know if I can do this anymore." Her words hit me like a sledgehammer. "What do you mean?" She wiped her eyes and took a deep breath. "I thought I could fix this, but I don't know if I can. I feel so guilty, and every time I look at you, all I see is the pain I've caused." "We can get through this," I said, desperation creeping into my voice. "It's going to take time, but we can make it work." Anna shook her head. "I don't know if I deserve another chance." Maybe you and the kids would be better off without me. I grabbed her hands, forcing her to look at me. We're a family, Anna. We need you. The kids need you. I need you. We can't just give up. She broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. I held her, trying to comfort her. But inside, I felt like I was clinging to something that was slipping away. It was the first time I truly understood how deep her guilt ran and how much she was struggling with the consequences of her actions. That night, Anna and I talked for hours. We shared our fears, our hopes, and our deep love for our children. It was raw, it was painful, but it was also the most honest conversation we'd had in months. By the time we were done, we both knew that the road ahead would be tough, but we also realized we had to try, for ourselves, for each other, and most importantly, for our kids. The next morning, we woke up with a renewed sense of purpose. It wasn't a magical fix, but it was a start. We decided to focus on rebuilding our trust and finding our way back to each other. It was going to be a long, hard journey, but for the first time in a long time, it felt like there might be a light at the end of the tunnel. The weeks following our heartfelt conversation were some of the most challenging we had ever faced. We were both committed to rebuilding our marriage, but the trust that had been shattered was not easily restored. Dr. Miller continued to guide us through our sessions, encouraging us to communicate openly and honestly. Anna was trying. I could see that. She was more present with the kids, more attentive to me. She even suggested we take a weekend getaway, just the two of us, to reconnect. I agreed, hoping that a change of scenery might help us rediscover what had brought us together in the first place. We booked a cabin in the mountains and arranged for my parents to watch the kids. The drive up was quiet, but not uncomfortable. We made small talk, and for the first time in months, I felt a flicker of hope. The cabin was beautiful, nestled among towering trees with the soothing sounds of nature all around. We spent the first day hiking and soaking in the peacefulness of the mountains. That evening, we sat by the fireplace, sipping wine and talking. Anna opened up about her guilt and how hard she was trying to make things right. "I'm so sorry, David," she said, tears glistening in her eyes. "I know I've hurt you in ways I can never fully comprehend. I'm trying to be better, for you and for the kids." "I can see that," I replied, squeezing her hand, "and I appreciate it. But it's going to take time, Anna. We both need to be patient." We went to bed that night holding each other, a small but significant step towards healing. The rest of the weekend went well, and by the time we headed back home, I felt more hopeful than I had in months. However, the reality of our everyday lives quickly set back in. The kids were thrilled to see us, and we slipped back into our usual routine. But the underlying tension remained. I couldn't help but check Anna's phone from time to time, and although I never found anything suspicious, the paranoia lingered. One evening, about a month after our getaway, Anna came home from work looking unusually anxious. I could tell something was bothering her, but she kept quiet during dinner. After the kids were in bed, I decided to confront her. "Anna, is everything okay? You seem off tonight." She hesitated, biting her lip. "There's something I need to tell you, David." My heart sank. "What is it?" She took a deep breath. "Chris reached out to me today. He wanted to apologize and asked if we could still be friends." A surge of anger and betrayal shot through me. "And what did you say?" "I told him no," she responded quickly. "I told him that I'm committed to fixing my marriage and that I can't have any contact with him." I stared at her, trying to read her expression, searching for any sign of deceit. She looked sincere, but the fact that Chris had even reached out shook me. "Why are you telling me this now?" "Because I want to be honest with you, David. I don't want to keep any secrets. I'm committed to us, and I need you to know that." Her words were reassuring, but the fear of another betrayal still lingered. "I appreciate your honesty, Anna, but you have to understand how hard this is for me. Every time something like this happens, it brings back all the pain." She nodded, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I know, and I'm so sorry. I'll do whatever it takes to prove to you that I'm serious about making this work." We embraced, a fragile peace settling between us. The next few days were tense but manageable. We continued with counseling and tried to focus on the positive steps we were taking. Then one afternoon, Anna came home early from work, a worried look on her face. "David, we need to talk." "What is it now?" I asked, bracing myself for more bad news. "I think someone's been following me," she said, her voice trembling. "I've noticed a car parked near my office and our house, and it's been there too often to be a coincidence." A chill ran down my spine. "Did you get a good look at the driver?" She shook her head. "No, but I have a bad feeling about this. What if it's Chris?" The thought hadn't crossed my mind, but it made sense. Chris could be upset that Anna had cut him off and might be trying to intimidate her. "We need to call the police," I said. Anna nodded, looking relieved that I believed her. "I'll do it first thing in the morning." That night we both slept uneasily, the fear of being watched looming over us. We were trying to move forward, but it seemed like the past wasn't ready to let us go. As I lay awake, I realized that our journey was far from over, and the challenges ahead might be even more daunting than what we'd already faced. The next morning, Anna called the police to report the suspicious car. They took her statement seriously and promised to keep an eye on the neighborhood. Meanwhile, we decided to be extra cautious, keeping the kids close, making sure all the doors and windows were securely locked. The following days were nerve-wracking. I found myself constantly looking over my shoulder, my paranoia growing with each passing hour. Anna was visibly shaken too, jumping at every little noise. Our efforts to rebuild trust and a sense of normalcy were being undermined by this new threat. One evening, as we were getting ready for bed, Anna's phone rang. She glanced at the screen, and her face went pale. "It's Chris," she whispered, showing me the caller ID. "Answer it," I said, my heart pounding. "Put it on speaker." Anna hesitated for a moment, then answered the call. "Hello? Anna, it's Chris. We need to talk," came his voice on the other end, sounding more desperate than threatening. "There's nothing to talk about, Chris," Anna said firmly. "I've told you I'm trying to fix my marriage. You need to stop contacting me. Please, just hear me out," he pleaded. "I'm sorry for everything. I just need to explain myself." I couldn't contain my anger any longer and grabbed the phone from Anna. "Listen, Chris, you need to leave my wife alone. If you come near her or our family again, I will involve the police. Do you understand?" There was a long pause on the other end. "I understand, David. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cause any trouble. I'll leave you alone." I hung up, my hands trembling with rage. "This has to end, Anna. We can't keep living like this." "I know," she said, tears welling up in her eyes. "I'll block his number and make sure he can't reach me. I'm so sorry, David. I never wanted any of this." The next few days were spent trying to regain some semblance of normalcy. Anna blocked Chris's number and deleted all his contact information. I kept a close watch on our surroundings, hoping the increased police presence would deter any further harassment. One night, about a week later, Anna and I were sitting on the couch, watching a movie after the kids had gone to bed. For the first time in a while, things felt almost normal. But then we heard a loud crash from outside. We both jumped up, my heart racing. I grabbed a baseball bat from the closet and motioned for Anna to stay inside. I cautiously stepped out onto the porch, scanning the darkness. My eyes landed on the source of the noise. A brick, wrapped in paper, had been thrown through our living room window. I picked it up, my hands trembling, and unwrapped the paper. Scrawled in angry, messy handwriting were the words, "This isn't over." Anna appeared at the door, her face pale. "What is it, David?" I handed her the note, my mind racing with a mix of fear and anger. "He's not giving up," I said, my voice tight. "We need to call the police again." The police arrived quickly, took our statements, and assured us they would increase their patrols around our house. But their reassurances did little to calm our nerves. That night, neither Anna nor I slept. We took turns watching the front door, the weight of our situation pressing down on us. The next day, I decided to take matters into my own hands. I installed security cameras around the house and set up motion sensor lights. Anna was scared, but she did her best to stay strong for the kids. We both knew that living in constant fear was no way to rebuild our marriage. A few nights later, the security cameras captured footage of a man lurking around our property. The police identified him as Chris and arrested him for harassment and violating the restraining order Anna had filed. The relief we felt was immense, but the damage had already been done. The fear and tension had taken a toll on both of us. In the days that followed, Anna and I had several long conversations. We discussed our fears, our hopes, and the lingering mistrust that still hung between us. The ordeal with Chris had shaken us to our core, but it had also forced us to confront our issues head-on. "David," Anna said one evening, her voice trembling, "I want us to start over. I know I've made terrible mistakes, but I'm committed to making this work, for us and for the kids." I looked into her eyes, searching for sincerity. I saw it there, mixed with guilt and determination. "I want that too, Anna, but it's going to take time. We need to be patient with each other and rebuild what we've lost." We both understood that the road ahead would be long and challenging, but for the first time in months, I felt a glimmer of hope. We had faced a nightmare and come out the other side, battered but still standing, and maybe, just maybe, we could find a way to heal and move forward together. With Chris behind bars, the tension in our household began to ease. The kids seemed more relaxed, and for the first time in what felt like ages, Anna and I started to rediscover a sense of normalcy. But the journey to rebuild our marriage was far from over. Dr. Miller continued to play a crucial role in our recovery. During one of our sessions, she suggested an exercise where we each wrote down what we appreciated about one another, as well as our hopes for the future. Anna and I exchanged our lists, and it was a surprisingly emotional experience. Seeing and writing down the reasons we fell in love and the dreams we once shared brought us closer together. As we worked on reconnecting, we also focused on creating new memories. We planned family outings and date nights, trying to recapture some of the magic that had initially brought us together. One weekend, we decided to take the kids on a camping trip. Lily and Jack were over the moon, and their excitement was contagious. The trip was a success. We hiked, fished, and roasted marshmallows by the campfire. For those few days, it felt like the shadow of the past had finally lifted. Anna and I shared moments of genuine connection, laughing and talking late into the night as the kids slept soundly in the tent. Back home, the routine of daily life resumed, but there was a noticeable shift in our dynamic. Anna was more open, more engaged, and I made a conscious effort to be present and attentive. Trust was slowly being rebuilt, brick by brick. One evening, a few months after the camping trip, Anna and I were sitting on the porch, watching the sunset. The kids were playing in the yard, their laughter filling the air. It was one of those rare, perfect moments. "David," Anna said softly, breaking the comfortable silence between us, "I need to tell you something." My heart skipped a beat. The last time she'd uttered those words, my world had turned upside down. "What is it?" She took a deep breath, her eyes fixed on the horizon. "I want to renew our vows." Her words took me by surprise. I hadn't expected this, but the more I thought about it, the more it made sense. Renewing our vows could be a powerful way to symbolize our renewed commitment to each other and our family, a fresh start. "I think that's a wonderful idea," I said, reaching for her hand. We began planning the vow renewal ceremony together, wanting it to be a small, intimate affair with just our closest family and friends. The kids were thrilled, especially Lily, who was excited about the idea of being a flower girl. As the date approached, I found myself reflecting on the past year. The pain, the betrayal, the fear, everything we had endured. But I also thought about the progress we'd made, the steps we'd taken to heal. Anna had shown genuine remorse and a true commitment to making things right, and I had worked hard to let go of the anger and resentment. The day of the ceremony arrived, and it was perfect. We chose a quiet spot in a nearby park, surrounded by blooming flowers and the gentle hum of nature. Lily and Jack stood by our sides, their faces glowing with happiness. As Anna and I stood before our family and friends holding hands, I felt a deep sense of peace. We recited our vows, promising to love and honor each other anew. The words held more meaning this time, weighted with the gravity of everything we'd been through. "I love you, David," Anna said, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you for giving us another chance." "I love you too, Anna," I replied, my voice thick with emotion. "Here's to our new beginning." We sealed our vows with a kiss, and our loved ones cheered. For the first time in a long time, I felt hopeful about the future. We still had a lot of work to do, but I knew we were on the right path. That night, as we lay in bed, Anna nestled close to me. Thank you, David, for everything. I kissed her forehead. We're in this together, Anna. Always. As I drifted off to sleep, I felt a profound sense of contentment. Our marriage had been tested in ways I never could have imagined, but we had come out the other side stronger. We had found a way to move forward, and for that, I was deeply grateful. In the months following our vow renewal, life gradually began to settle into a new normal. Anna and I continued our counseling sessions with Dr. Miller, working on communication and trust. We both understood that healing was a process, and we were committed to seeing it through. One day, I came home from work to find Anna sitting on the porch, a thoughtful look on her face. She smiled as I approached, but I could tell something was on her mind. Hey, what's up? I asked, sitting down beside her. She sighed, running a hand through her hair. I've been thinking a lot about us and everything we've been through. I know we've made progress, but there's something I need to get off my chest. A pang of anxiety hit me. What is it? Anna looked at me, her eyes filled with sincerity. I've been offered a promotion at work. It's a great opportunity, but it would require me to travel frequently. I'm worried about what it might mean for us and our family. I took a deep breath, considering her words. The thought of her being away so often was unsettling, but I didn't want to hold her back from advancing in her career. How do you feel about it? I'm excited but scared, she admitted. I don't want to risk everything we've worked so hard to rebuild. I want to make sure we're strong enough to handle this. I reached for her hand, squeezing it gently. Anna, I believe in us. We've come a long way, and I think we can handle anything as long as we communicate and stay committed to each other. If this promotion is something you want, then I'm all for it. Tears welled up in her eyes. Thank you, David. That means everything to me. Over the next few weeks, we talked through how we would manage her new schedule. We made a plan to stay connected through regular video calls and set aside time for family activities whenever she was home. It wasn't going to be easy, but we were determined to make it work. Anna accepted the promotion, and soon her new role began. The first few trips were challenging, but we stayed connected, and the kids adapted surprisingly well. They were proud of their mom, and I made sure to keep things running smoothly at home. One evening, while Anna was away on a business trip, I received a call from her. She sounded excited and a bit nervous. David, I need to tell you something. What is it? I asked, intrigued. I've been asked to give a keynote speech at an upcoming conference, she said. It's a huge honor, but I'm terrified. Anna, that's incredible, I exclaimed. You're going to be amazing. I have no doubt about it. Her voice softened. I wish you could be here with me. I miss you. I miss you too, I replied, but I'll be cheering you on from home. You've got this. The night of her speech, the kids and I watched a live stream of the event. Anna was poised and confident, delivering her speech with grace and passion. I couldn't have been prouder. When she called me afterward, she was elated. I did it, David. I really did it. I knew you would, I said, smiling. You're incredible, Anna. Her trips became more frequent, but our relationship continued to grow stronger. We made the most of our time together, and I found myself falling in love with her all over again. Despite the distance, we were closer than ever. One weekend, Anna surprised me with a spontaneous trip to a nearby city. She had arranged for my parents to watch the kids, giving us some much-needed alone time. We explored the city, trying new restaurants and visiting local attractions. It was a wonderful escape from the daily grind, and it reminded me of just how much I cherished our time together. As we sat in a cozy cafe, sipping coffee and watching the world go by, Anna reached across the table and took my hand. David, thank you for standing by me through everything. I know it hasn't been easy, but your support means everything to me. I love you, Anna, I said, my heart full. We've been through hell and back, but we're stronger because of it. I wouldn't trade what we have for anything. She smiled, her eyes sparkling with emotion. I love you too, David. Here's to us and our future. Our relationship was far from perfect, but we had learned how to navigate the challenges together. We were a team, and that made all the difference. Every day was a testament to our resilience and commitment to each other. We had faced the darkness and come out the other side, ready to embrace whatever the future held. Time passed, and our lives settled into a new rhythm. Anna's frequent travels became part of our routine, and we continued to adapt and grow together. The kids were thriving, and our bond as a family felt stronger than ever. Anna and I still attended counseling sessions with Dr. Miller, ensuring we stayed on track and addressed any issues that arose. One evening, as Anna and I were enjoying a quiet dinner at home, she reached across the table and took my hand. "David, there's something I've been thinking about a lot lately." My heart skipped a beat, but I kept my expression calm. "What is it?" She smiled, a mix of excitement and nervousness in her eyes. "I think we should move. A fresh start for all of us. New place, new memories. What do you think?" I was taken aback but intrigued by the idea. "Where are you thinking?" "I found a house in a small town about an hour away from here," she said, pulling out her phone to show me pictures. "It's beautiful, with a big yard for the kids and plenty of space for us. I think it could be a great place to start anew." The house was charming, with a large backyard and plenty of room for Lily and Jack to play. The idea of leaving behind the place where so much pain had occurred was appealing. "It looks perfect," I said, feeling a spark of excitement. "Let's do it." The decision to move was met with enthusiasm from the kids, and within a few months, we were settled into our new home. The change of scenery brought a sense of renewal and hope. We spent weekends exploring the town, meeting new neighbors, and creating new memories. One day, while unpacking boxes in our new home, I stumbled upon an old photo album. As I flipped through the pages, memories of the good times Anna and I had shared before everything went wrong came flooding back. That evening, I showed the album to Anna, and we spent hours reminiscing about our early years together. "Look at us," Anna said, pointing to a picture from our honeymoon. "We were so happy." "We still can be," I said, pulling her close. "We've come a long way, and I believe our best days are still ahead." Anna nodded, tears brimming in her eyes. "Thank you, David, for never giving up on us." As we continued to settle into our new life, we focused on strengthening our relationship and building a future together. Anna's career continued to flourish, and I found new opportunities in our new town. The kids loved their new school and quickly made friends. One evening, we hosted a small gathering with our new neighbors. As we sat around the fire pit in our backyard, the air was filled with laughter and conversation. Anna and I exchanged a look, both of us grateful for the fresh start and the new connections we were making. After the guests left and the kids were in bed, Anna and I sat on the porch, enjoying the quiet of the night. "I feel like we're finally where we belong," she said, resting her head on my shoulder. "Me too," I replied, wrapping my arm around her. "We've been through so much, but it's made us stronger." As the months turned into years, our love continued to deepen and evolve. We faced challenges, but we faced them together, always committed to our family and each other. Our journey had been difficult, but it had also been transformative. Looking back, I realized that Anna's betrayal had nearly torn us apart, but it had also forced us to confront our issues and rebuild our marriage on a stronger foundation. We had learned the importance of communication, trust, and unwavering support. One night, as we lay in bed, Anna turned to me and whispered, "I'm so grateful for you, David. You've given me a second chance, and I promise to never take that for granted." I smiled, pulling her close. "I love you, Anna. We're in this together, now and always." As I drifted off to sleep, I felt a profound sense of peace. Our journey had been tumultuous, but it had led us to a place of deep love and understanding. We had found our way back to each other, and I knew that no matter what the future held, we would face it together.